Mr. Gibson showed his true colors. He left the PLP. He is no longer part of the PLP. And so in the scheme of things of this week, he is of no significance whatsoever. And so I will say this much to you, as I'm saying through you, to the rest of the Bahamas and the media world. This is the last utterance that I would have about Kennyatta Gibson. And so you have had the opportunity of having the last say.
Live
You're
on
going down
TV.
in history.
Wow.
No more.
Awesome.
Hello, and welcome to Controversy TV.
Tell me what you see and this. What this is?
Utah, I'd heard about Utah.
We have access to the Bahamas' foremost forensic accounting.
Is there any tension that you defy them and challenge them for the leadership?
This program on that night was so compelling, I had to watch it.
You know, if Donnie goes surgery and he died, the hell with him.
To describe Utah, there are three words that come to mind. Committed, tenacious, and determined.
Tears I Cried tells the story of the endless search I went through to find my biological father.
And let there be no tears in this place. Let there be no tears in this place.
The PLP has been attacked with situation after situation, scandal after scandal. It's obvious to the eyes that the PLP is divided. BJ got his followers, young rebel Paul Moss got his crew, Fred Mitchell got his loyal disciples. Can the PLP be unified by 2012? Will they qualify to be the government of the Bahamas? And who is man enough to stand up to Hubert Pitbull Ingram? Tonight on the show, on the most watched show on Cable 12, we have the notorious Mr. Keod Smith.
Listen, you know, you started off wrong. Your premise is kind of skewed because you say simply because you have different people in an organization that it means that those different people connotes division. That is not true.
Well,
every organization is made up of different people, and it is that complexity, it is that diversion that creates or allows for the organization to thrive. Because your electorate, or the people who you're trying to approach or who you're trying to reach, are all different people. So simply because you may have this person with his followers or his supporters does not mean that the organization is divided.
Wow.
It simply means that the organization is dynamic.
Hold on.
And I need you to understand that, because
that was just my introduction, man.
Now we're starting off wrong.
We got to say goodnight to the people, man.
But anyhow.
That was just my introduction.
I know how you go, and so I want to just make sure that you don't get off on the wrong foot.
You ready?
Yeah, man. Well, good night to everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm
here interviewing you tonight because I heard that you're seeking the chair position.
Yes, the chairman, yes, of the PLP.
Who all do we have? Is it Glennis Hannah Martin? I think I heard Ricardo Smith is also seeking chair position.
Yes, from what I understand, although I do not believe that Mrs. Martin has publicly announced that she will seek re-election, but it is almost always that the person sitting, unless they openly say that they won't, that they will be going for re-election. You also have Mr. Ken Dorset, who served as the deputy chairman and also vice chairman. And I was told by Ricardo Smith that he was offering. I don't think that he's made it publicly known yet, but that being as it may, he will be. And I have also heard some whispers about Bradley Roberts.
Yes.
But I have not heard myself any public pronouncement in that regard.
Okay.
But that being as it may, this is what makes the PLP especially a dynamic organization, because we have all those names that I called are in and of themselves good people who would be able to serve as chairman. But it's just not a matter of determining who is good to be chairman, but who is at this juncture the best person to serve. And this is where I believe I stand head and shoulders above the rest.
Now I know your track record, and I know you got the political experience. I see some good names here. I like Ken Dorset, you know. I've been listening to him, and I like him. You know, I seem to want to stray away from the old guard. So I kind of have a little small problem with Bradley Roberts and Glennis Hannah Martin. You know, because they from the old guard. I mean, I know you are seasoned PLP, but I don't, from what I could recall, I don't think you were directly from the old guard.
But you know, you have to be careful when we give these names, old guard, etc. Because you can have someone who comes from 20 or 30 years being in politics, but are young enough at heart to be able to reach the more than 70% of the people who are under the age of 30.
Man.
You can have that. And I say that simply to say this. Hold on, hear me out. I say you have to be careful. Now, if you want to assess an individual, you have to be careful to look very carefully at what that individual brings to the table.
We are
for example,
behemoth.
I'll just say, for instance, you categorize. While I could understand why you would have said that about Mr. Roberts, although I don't altogether agree, I can understand, I would say that you would be making a grave mistake to put Glennis Hannah Martin in that category. Because one, in age, in terms of age, Glennis is still relatively young.
But remember now, Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, but Moses did not lead them into the promised land.
But we have to be very
This
careful.
is a new era, a new behemoth. We are looking for Joshua.
But
to lead us forward.
The reality is this, though. You have to be very careful. I understand all of what you're saying, and I think that there is some resonance in the Bahamian public that you have to be careful not to have the same old, same old. And I listen very carefully to people, and the majority of the people who are speaking in those terms are younger people. But I have to also warn people, though, that it's important to make sure that there is a comfortable bridge and connection between the old and the new. One of the things that underpins something that I presented in Freeport just about a week ago, where Mr. Ingram openly and without shame said that he had no economic rebound policy or program for Freeport. And there's a whole city that he's saying, listen, y'all are going downhill fast. Y'all have to hit rock bottom before I even begin to think about you. What I saw, well, you need to, don't tell me that, not you, Utah, you can't tell me that you would not have heard that. But I'll tell you this, the reality is that when we look carefully, is the policy that was articulated by Sir Lyndon in 1968. In 1968, you know, and he would have signified the old guard. It is more relevant today than it was even back then. Because what he essentially said is that if Freeport did not, as a city, the Port Authority didn't do what it needed to do to incorporate the Bahamians in this whole economic boom that they were creating, that if it didn't change its social order or its disorder, that it would have to be broken. And in my view, now, we have to very seriously look at repealing the act and the legislation by which the Port Authority has this grip on Bahamian people in Grand Bahama and has done absolutely nothing in terms of building the social order.
You're a lawyer, right?
Yeah, man.
Because I noticed how you switched this whole, man, you done turned this a whole different show. But yeah, holding in my hand is the Constitution of the Progressive Liberal Party.
Yes.
I want to read a piece of this on the show. Boy, I had to go through hell and high water to get me a copy of this.
Man, you can get that online.
I can?
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that. Preamble. In November 1953, the people of the Bahama Islands, having for centuries endured the injustice of slavery and second-class status in their homeland, acclaimed and embraced the formation of the Progressive Liberal Party as a political organization established by the founding fathers to seek and secure the improvement of the lives of the poor, the downtrodden, and the disposed, and to bring hope and promise to the young. You are running for the chair of the Progressive Liberal Party, a very prestigious party, a party that has brought change to our Bahama nation. What qualifies Keod Smith to even want to ask for an opportunity to become the chairman of such a prestigious party?
Well, I mean, maybe two things. One, I'm Bahamian, and two, I'm a committed PLP. And that's it. That's all you really need. And once you have those two things, and you're a part of the organization, and you qualify in terms of just the basic qualification to be a delegate or be a person who is able to, you can vie for any position in the PLP.
Yeah, wow.
And we had, for example, you mentioned a name in your beginning, Paul Moss. Paul Moss is new to the PLP. And Paul Moss has been in the council perhaps for a very short time compared to many of us. And Paul is now, next week, he is running, he wants to be the leader of the PLP.
Yes,
Nothing
sir.
stops him.
Thumbs up to Paul Moss.
Nothing stops him.
But Mr. Smith, I want you to repeat after me. Since you're saying that you qualify and that you want to be the chairman, I want you to say, I, Keod Smith.
Nah, hold on. You go ahead. Tell me, let me, I got to be careful with you.
Man,
yeah, the whole thing, man.
Let's go, man. I, Keod Smith, the national chairman,
yes,
shall be in overall charge of the organs and apparatus of the party and shall preside at all meetings of the National General. I swear you in, man.
Oh, you swear me in.
I'm swearing you in.
Well, I'll take your swearing in. I'll tell you this, though. The reality is that those attributes, or at least the duties and the objectives of the chairman, of course, are all articulated there in our Constitution and online.